Hello and welcome to the Expanded Woman Network podcast. I'm your host, Sherry Gideons, and this is my co-host, Misty Willis.
Hey, everybody. So glad to see you today. I just wanted to introduce our wonderful guest, Karalyn Martin. She is a finalist for the Miss Veteran America that supports and advocates for Final Salute, which is a homeless, or helping women homeless. Oh my gosh. Veteran homeless women. So she's helping with that. And also she's a mom and she's involved in so many different nonprofits in the DFW area. So we're so excited to have her here today. And welcome, Karalyn.
Welcome, Karalyn.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Hello. So just a little bit about you. Tell us your background a tiny bit, and then we can kind of delve into Final Salute and Miss Veteran America.
Okay, so I was born and raised here in Texas, more closer to East Texas, not the city. I enlisted in the Marine Corps when I was 17 because I graduated high school early, and I had a pretty bad childhood, so I needed to leave where I was at. So I left for the Marine Corps, and I served 5.5 years there with one tour to Afghanistan. After getting out, I went to cosmetology school in San Diego, and then graduated with honors and deans there. I went to Michigan following my husband recruiting, who's also a Marine veteran, and finished my bachelor's with the Catholic University in psychology. And then when we moved back to Texas, then I completed my master's with social work, and I currently work for adult probation for Tarrant County, and I serve as the Veterans Resource Officer as well as the Veterans Liaison with Veterans Treatment Court, and then about 10 plus other nonprofits here in DFW. So I'm really active in helping veterans and always.
That's a lot. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that's a lot. Well, I want to start out by thanking you for your service. It brings tears to my eyes because I'm so grateful for you.
Thank you.
My God, I can associate so much with what you just shared. I mean, I lived all over the world as a dependent for, my father was in the military, and then later on, my first husband was in the military, and we were all over the world. And, I myself experienced homelessness 2 times in my life where I was on the streets. And so that is very near and dear to my heart. And I did not know I was going to start crying when you started to talk about what you do and what you're involved in, because that is very much what I want to be part of as well. Anything that is involved with helping women live their best lives and get out of this, association to not having enough and flourishing. So it's primarily involved in women veterans who are homeless that you're involved with.
So overall, I'm involved with male and female veterans, provide resources, and it just depends whether it's substance abuse, legal troubles, where I go into the court. I work with other raising money as a public speaker. I'm a service lock handler. So that prior to applying to be Miss Veteran America, then it was focused on that. However, right now with Final Salute Inc., I have shifted gears, and my sole focus in this competition is homeless female veterans, because I too, and we just haven't got into Final Salute yet, is there are multiple factors that contribute to female veterans being homeless, and especially with their children. And I'm a mom of a 4 and a 5-year-old, is that I've experienced over 50% of that. So I too was homeless at 17, which is why I needed some stability, something. So I don't know what it's like to be homeless as a female veteran with children, but I do know what it's like to be homeless, growing up in a home with a mom that was with domestic violence and substance abuse and child abuse. And so once I got out, and I know personally that nonprofits here didn't just change my life, but helped save my life. And when I chose life, because I battled suicide for so long, that I wake up now and my purpose is to make sure that veterans don't continue to go through that, and that they get the same help that was afforded to me. And our homeless female veterans are definitely overlooked in the nation. And Final Salute Inc. is one of the only organizations in the nation that do what they do.
Mm-hmm. Wow. So tell us about why you're so passionate about Final Salute, and what is it that they can provide or that they do provide to the women and children that are in need?
So Final Salute Inc. is actually, their transitional housing is all in Alexandria, Virginia. However, it doesn't matter where the female veterans are at, they can be a recipient of the resources. They help with emergency finance funds. They do provide transitional housing. However, they have 3 different programs. One that is home, and that helps with housing. Then they have the SAFE program, which goes over finances and education. And then they have the Next Uniform program, which has been postponed this year due to COVID, unfortunately. But that's where they help women transition. They do their makeovers. They get them clothes. They pretty much just help them find themselves as a woman again and get them ready to transition, or just transition in general, whether they were homeless and have graduated the program, or they're transitioning from the military to the civilian sector, to get them ready to go into the civilian life and be prepared for the job world out there, because it's very different once you take that uniform off. When I found out the statistics for homeless female veterans, they are the fastest growing population out of all homelessness. And on any given day, the statistics have proven that there could be 55,000 homeless female veterans on the streets. And each year, HUD, the Housing Development, does this count called PIC, and they go through the shelters and the streets, and they count all the homelessness, and they separate them in categories. The thing is that for homeless female veterans, if they have their children, you're not going to catch them in those shelters. You're not going to catch them in the streets. They're going to be in a vehicle somewhere. They're going to couch surf, which is still considered homeless. So then they aren't even counted accurately each year. And because they aren't counted, then the Veterans Affairs and other different government funded programs, even here in Tarrant County, do not have things for female veterans. They have the Liberty House here, which is only, but they do not have anything for female veterans when it comes to bringing them in to help them in their homelessness in DFW at all, unless it's just a co-ed place that's, you can be there at night and come out. But veterans specifically funded, we don't have anything for females. And so to see Final Salute doing that, and they're one of the over 60% in the nation that will take women in, either won't take their children or there's an age restriction. And Final Salute doesn't do that. They take in their children as well. Because, they're also,
need a place.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's where it hit home for me, because we serve our country, and no one deserves to be homeless. Do not get me wrong, but a lot of these women are leaving domestic violence situations, or yes, maybe they got into legal troubles, and there's other contributing factors, but they do not deserve to be homeless, and the children don't have any part in that, and they deserve to have better and need to be recognized, and that's what Final Salute Inc. does.
Interesting that you bring that up, because I experienced that firsthand with my ex-husband. My ex-husband was a Green Beret, and he developed post-traumatic stress disorder during 2 wars. And so when he came back to the U.S., he lived out of his vehicle. And of course, the police were always causing all kinds of trouble, and, tearing, they would become very, very connected to their possessions, everything that's in their vehicles, and they're trying to survive. And then what happens is I reached out to the Veterans Association because I care. And they told me that their biggest concern is for people who are already in the military, not people who have transitioned in or out of the military. And when I heard that, I was so angry and so upset. I said, wait a minute here. You mean to tell me these people have served our country and they're second-class citizens, one, and then they're also, down at the bottom of the totem pole because they're no longer in the military, but these people have served in how many wars and, been to the Middle East. And when I hear what you're saying, you would think that nationwide we would put our veterans as first priority. It doesn't matter if they've already served and they're no longer in the service. And it breaks my heart when you share that. I mean, how did they get started?
So there is, and I'll cover that, but just for informational purposes, Netflix actually has the documentary. It's maybe an hour and a half long, called "Served Like a Girl." And I would encourage anyone to watch it. It's amazing, and it goes over the story. So the president, founder, her name is Jazz Booth. She served in the Army and in multiple combat tours, and she had found out she had cancer. Once everything was said and done, and she's a cancer survivor, she ended up homeless, and she went to go get services, veterans, VA benefit, and they said, "We don't serve women, veterans. You need to go down to WIC, to HUD, to, welfare, food stamps. You got to go down there." And so she ended up spending quite a bit of time homeless with her son. And once she got on her feet and once she got going, she created this. And it's not just a team of women, but most of them are women, and it's very powerful. And she created this because she firsthand learned what it was like. And even today in 2020, I personally know how the VA benefits are very unequal for females versus males. And I'm not at all bashing my brothers in arms at all, but it's very different. And what's offered to them isn't necessarily offered to us. For example, a lot of VA facilities do not have women's health. Now, Fort Worth does, but a lot of them don't. When I was in Michigan, they didn't. So I had to be sent out for any type of pregnancy or just women stuff. And then if I want to talk about military sexual trauma, when it comes to compensation and pension, the second I talk about that and I get diagnosed with that, that's a lower compensation and pension rating than PTSD by a big step. And so, and so then men are able to have a more percentage of compensation pension, which is what you get financially when you get your disability rating. And then you end up fighting it because military sexual trauma causes PTSD. It's post-traumatic stress disorder. You're going to have the same exact symptoms. That's because that sexual trauma is still trauma. So they founded this, and it was a little later that Miss Veteran America came into the picture with Final Salute Inc.
That is amazing. I had no idea, to be honest, that there was such disparity between the women and men's benefits in military. You're all serving the same thing, so why is it different? So wow.
Yeah, I find that very, very, very upsetting too. And the same thing happened with my ex-husband. Very similar situation. The only time he got help eventually was when they were pulling everything out of his vehicle because he was living in a grocery store parking lot. He was, they classified him as a genius at one point, and he had made, remember the old war things that had the ball that you would swing around?
Yes.
I can't remember what those were called, but they consider that a felony. It's considered a concealed weapon. And so he ended up getting hit with a misdemeanor at that particular time. And when you've been a previous veteran, the military has to send in a lawyer. It's part of the laws of the nation. But just as you said, it was at that point they finally classified him with a disability, and he ended up getting some assistance, but not very much. That's the thing. The stipend was literally nothing. And once again, I mean, my heart is like literally breaking right now because I don't understand why, as a nation, we wouldn't have more support systems in place, especially for women and children. I mean, my goodness.
Yeah, like you said, children, it's not their fault, but they're in this situation. That's so sad. Super sad. But I'm so glad that Jazz created that organization, and she was living proof, and that you're here supporting that cause and, you know, sharing this information with us so that we can be educated about it. Because that's what it's all about, right? So what would you do? Tell us about the Final Salute or Miss Veteran America competition and how that works and what it all entails.
So as soon as registration opened, I had told myself when I found out about last year that if I got as involved in the community as I wanted to, that I would compete because it is based around advocacy largely, obviously. And so I was, I think, probably one of the first ones to register this year. I just said, I'm doing this. And then you automatically become a semifinalist once you process those steps. And so I had, part of that requirement is running a Twitter page, a competition page, as well as a Facebook competition page. And then we just start spreading awareness and advocating by posting stuff, posting the statistics from the website, educating people, doing stuff like this. And then then we had to do an interview and a performance, which everybody's performance or talent is a lip sync. And then the interview consisted of 5 questions and a extra question if you had the time. So during this process, it was about advocating, raising money. Most importantly, all proceeds of all the money that we raise goes straight to Final Salute Inc. And less than 10% of every dollar goes to the admin cost. It only takes $25 a night to house a woman and or their children and provide all essential needs, food, case management, housing, you name it. And that helps Final Salute Inc. run. So I don't remember, I think there was like 49 or 50 when we went in, we got our list of how many were competing at the end of June was the semifinals. And then we found out like the second week in July, the top 25, which I became a finalist then. And
go Karalyns!
Thanks. I'm excited because I'm so passionate about it. But I also worked really hard to do that. And people constantly are like, if it's called a pageant, we're doing push-ups because it's not at all a pageant. There's no swimsuit. It's not about beauty. It is definitely, I mean, even the slogan says it's the woman beyond the uniform because what they're looking for is for us to work together. Yes, we're competing, but we're also working together and it was so neat to see us in the semifinals, how much we raised and how much like just supporting each other and coming together for Final Salute Inc., like what we did for them. And so I'm so excited to be a part of the continued journey where we'll continue to raise money. This is where we'll do more events like our evening gown, our walkout. Hopefully, despite COVID, kind of like this, do some virtual things to spread awareness. And so that's pretty much Miss Veteran America. Has not been around very long. And so we're all competing to be the active advocate for Final Salute Inc.'s efforts in supporting homeless female veterans. And, you know, ultimately what our goal is to eradicate that number and not have homeless female veterans and or their children. Mm-hmm. So that's what Miss Veteran America is doing. It's a competition. 100%, but we also are helping each other. For example, one girl did masks and we promoted her because that's all the money's going to one place. And that's what's most important is what we can do for Final Salute Inc. And I want more than anything because I do public speaking and because I do have such a large network here in DFW, veterans may not, across the nation, may not have the benefits we think we should see or have in 2020. But I can tell you right now, there's nowhere that I've lived that has the support that DFW has with its nonprofit organizations. We really have a huge network here to help. And I think that would be a huge benefit to Final Salute Inc. If I was to win this year. Because I would like to see Final Salute Inc. grow. I would like to see they only have one location now, and they would flourish here in DFW. And statistically, it shows that most homeless veterans are in the South, Florida, Texas, and California. 87% of the homeless female veterans are in Texas.
Oh my gosh.
And we don't have anything. So this is
next location here.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes, that's important. So that's what Miss Veteran America is. It's a competition for advocacy.
That's beautiful. I mean, have they looked into, and as far as Final Salute Inc., as far as spreading out, I mean, is looking currently to, find maybe, what do you call it? What's the word you call it when somebody goes to another state or lives in another state and they become the person that represents that state for Final Salute Inc.? Is she looking?
Oh, like to have a person in every state?
Yeah, a person in every
represent. Okay.
A representative in every state.
Why not?
Yeah, why not?
That's true. And I can't say, because I'm not, that would be more on the admin side, internal of Final Salute Inc. But I do know that because I do have the network here and work with some organizations that strictly raise money to provide grants, that I have worked with Executive Director Bob Steer a couple times on trying to get them some grants as well outside of the fundraising, because that's where the big chunks of money come from, are those grants. And of course, those organizations are struggling right now too because of COVID. So not a lot of people are able to donate. And that's another thing that not necessarily, I have a Facebook fundraiser. It's required all proceeds go straight to Final Salute Inc. We don't see that money whatsoever. Is that, and some people are hesitant to put their credit card information on Facebook. So if they want, I've asked them to send me a check, I deposit it, and electronically I put that, money straight in there. And that, so as far as raising money, not everybody can donate, and we understand that. So the biggest thing is to share it and spread the awareness so that others understand what's going on around them, and hopefully those that can donate can. But most importantly is to spread the awareness and advocate for these homeless female veterans.
So tell us really quickly again what, just tell our audience again exactly what they're donating towards right now. Is it towards the female homeless situation, or is it towards more the pageant right now that goes towards that?
So in donating the money to, like, specifically my campaign or any of my other 24 competitors, are all female veterans as well, that's going straight to Final Salute Inc. And that money goes to running the program. That money does not have anything, to my knowledge, to do with the competition. The competition, we fund our own stuff as competitors, and everything else as far as fundraising goes straight to Final Salute Inc., which is why they either on their website there's a donate button. But for us, we are obviously competing to raise the most money, and we're required to have a Facebook fundraiser. And that's what they're looking at, to see who's got the most followers on Facebook and Twitter, who's advocating, who's raising the most money. And there's some other small categories that you can, I guess, win in, even if you don't win overall. But the money is going straight to Final Salute Inc. to run those programs in the transitional housing. So it's going straight to the homeless female veterans, not to any of the competitors whatsoever.
I love that.
That's great. That's great. Because you always wonder, like, when you're donating to something, like, where does that money really go? And if it's going directly to that organization and we're making a difference in helping and maybe helping them expand, that's even better. So I put your Facebook and Twitter information here. So what can they learn about you if they go to your Facebook or Twitter pages?
And following the Facebook and Twitter pages on a daily basis, I post advocacy stuff. And I've learned that videos seem to be more effective. So this is kind of, as a public speaker, I've done fine talking about my own story. But then to go virtual, it's been a new experience for me. People who are following me will see where the money is going. They find out statistics. They get to see what I'm doing on my part to advocate for Final Salute Inc. But also, I mean, both Facebook and Twitter, it's just about advocacy and in looking at the statistics, finding out every little detail that I can share about Final Salute Inc. And when I say statistics, is because when I want to donate money as a donor, I want to see where my money is going. Not necessarily that I know it's going there, but what is it doing for these homeless female veterans? And the numbers are phenomenal on how many transitional housing or women have gone through the transitional housing since Final Salute Inc. has been running. So that's what I post, is I let them know like the complete ins and out of Final Salute Inc. And it's all on their website. And then I also, because I love research, I mean, that's why I have a master's in social work, is then I'll start digging for updated information or other information as well. So that everybody, it's just advocacy maybe mostly. And then just kind of watching me on my journey and watching my passion for this, and seeing what's next. Cause I will have some individual fundraising stuff come up. I'm having shirts made, masks made, challenge coins, which is, a lot of people don't know, but they're a military thing, and it's actually really neat. They end up being collectibles. And then just a couple other things that they'll see me in the community, any events that they want to get involved in and help if they're local, or participate in other fundraisers if they're wanting to, buy t-shirts or buy coins to help raise money that way as well.
Love it.
Awesome. So you guys can find her at Karalyn MBA 2020 on Facebook or Twitter. I know Karalyn personally. She's actually one of my clients and friends, and I couldn't be happier to help support her mission and helping other women to succeed and provide so adequate housing for people. And it just makes me really happy to have you here. I've been telling her for a while, like, come on, you need to be on here. So now's the time. So we're so glad that you're here today. And we're going to have a little bit shorter call today, just due to schedules today. But Sherry, tell us a little bit about Expanded Woman, and then we can be done for the day.
Yeah. So we want to thank you so much, Karalyn. I mean, everything that you've shared with us today has been, literally near and dear to my heart. And we're super, super happy that we've had you on the show today. And we wish you absolute success in your journey. And I just salute you for your service to our country. Again, I want to thank you so much. I want to thank all of our viewers, listeners. Expanded Woman Business Network is a community of women that, we have moved out of the old idea of I and me, and we've moved into the belief that we together as one expand our expression for excellence, expand our expression for a greater, grander way of living. And we want to invite each and every one of you into our group. We're on Facebook. I always forget what we're under now. On our page, our Facebook changed it, but on our page, you count, Misty.
It's Expanded Woman. So it's facebook.com/Expanded Woman. And then our group is under Expanded Woman Business Network. So you can find us through the page. If you want to go there, it's easier.
Mm-hmm. So. And you can find us on the web at expandedwoman.com. And thank you, everyone. We appreciate you supporting us on every Tuesday morning. And until next week, have a great rest of the week.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.